Welcome back to my channel, guys. Today what I'm going to be talking about is the managers for the 7 inaugural teams in the Canadian Premier League. So first of all, please make sure you subscribe. We're getting near 100 subscribers, and please subscribe so that you get updates on my latest content about the Canadian Premier League. First up, we have Bobby Smyrniotis of Forge FC. Bobby Smyrniotis was born in Scarborough, Ontario. He has coached in Olympiacos, the Greek giant, their academy system, but his biggest accomplishment was helping to co-found Sigma FC. Now, Sigma FC plays in League One Ontario, which, let's be honest, that's not too prestigious, but the thing is that Sigma FC has helped to produce, most notably, Kyle Larin. It's also helped to produce Chris Nanko and Kwadwe Awua, who both are now playing for Forge FC. It's also helped to produce Richie Laria, who most recently was playing for Orlando City. And they've also produced Emery Welshman, who's actually making a move back to MLS after his stint in USL with FC Cincinnati, and is now getting promoted to the MLS FC Cincinnati side. Next up, we have Jeff Paulus of FC Edmonton. He was also born in Scarborough, Ontario, but in terms of his biggest accomplishments in his managerial career, at least, he's been the academy director of the Nassau FC Edmonton side from 2011 up till when it dissolved in 2017. He was also their assistant manager from 2011 to 2017, and now he's getting promoted to the head coach role for their Canadian Premier League version of FC Edmonton. Now we have Rob Gayle of Valor FC. He was born in Zambia, but he's an English Canadian. He was in the Fulham youth setup when he was a youngster, and then he ended up playing for Manitoba-based teams. In terms of his managerial career, it's mainly been in the Canadian youth setup. He's been in the Canadian youth setup since 2010. In 2014, he most notably started managing the Canada U20 national team. And then, of course, he resigned from that team in 2018 to become the Valor FC manager. But the big thing about this is that now he can take that knowledge about Canadian youngsters, and now he can use it to find youngsters to sign for Valor FC. In the region of York, for York 9 FC, we have Jimmy Brennan. Jim Brennan is from East York, which then dissolved and just was added on to Toronto, but he is from the York region. Jim Brennan is one of the most high-profile people managing in the league, not particularly because of his managerial career, but because of his playing career. He's played for Bristol City, Nottingham Forest, Huddersfield Town, Norwich, Southampton, and then he later moved on to become the first captain of Toronto FC. He has also made 49 appearances with the Canadian national team. In terms of his managerial career, he briefly coached with TFC U17 Academy team, then he moved to League One Ontario side, Aurora FC, and then later resigned and became the manager of York 9 FC. So he doesn't necessarily have the most managerial experience, but he does have a lot of playing experience that hopefully he can utilize to become a better manager, and hopefully he can be a good success in the Canadian Premier League. Now we have one of the more experienced managers on this list, Tommy Wheeldon Jr. of Cavalry FC. Tommy was born in Liverpool, England. In terms of his managerial experience, he managed in the U17 Canadian national team setup, but he also managed PDL team Calgary Foothill. He has a lot of experience in the Calgary area, and he knows a lot of the talent in the area, and he's utilized that knowledge and has signed a ton of Calgary Foothills players to his team. With Calgary Foothills, he was pretty prosperous with them. He made them one of the best teams in the league, and actually he ended up making them the PDL champions in 2018, his final year with the team, until he moved on to now become the manager of Cavalry FC. For Pacific FC's manager, Michael Silber Bauer, he's certainly a different type of manager as he's born in Denmark, so it'll be interesting if he has a different style of play for Pacific FC to play in the Canadian Premier League. He certainly had one of the more interesting playing careers in the league. I'm sorry if I butcher any of these names. He's played for Aalborg, Copenhagen, Utrecht, and Young Boys, which is a Swiss team. He even made 25 appearances for the Danish national team. In terms of his managerial career, most notably he was the assistant manager of FC Luzern, which is a Swiss Super League team, so he'll be able to take that knowledge being the assistant manager of a Swiss Super League team and be able to apply that in the Canadian Premier League. So it'll be certainly interesting to watch out to see how he gets this team to play. So I left the best pedigree for last, and that is Stephen Hart of HFX Wanderers FC. Stephen Hart was born in San Fernando, Trinidad and Tobago. In terms of his managerial pedigree, I'll just read some of them out for you so you can decide to see how good of a manager he is, because he has had some downs, but he has certainly had some ups as well. So starting in 1997, he started managing in the Canadian national team youth setup and basically worked his way up until 2009, where he eventually became the national team head coach. But in 2012 he resigned after an 8-1 loss to Honduras in the qualifying rounds for the 2014 World Cup. I remember watching that game, and that was a pretty depressing game. I mean, based on the scoreline, I think you can assume that. For a short period of time he was out of work, but then eventually he became the manager of his home country, Trinidad and Tobago, and he ended up leading them as the manager from 2013 to 2016, where he took them all the way to the Hex, which is the final qualifying round for the World Cup. They finished last in the qualifying group, but they were able to beat the US and get the US to not qualify. So that was a decent accomplishment, and I think it's a good accomplishment on its own that he got them to get to the final round of the World Cup qualifying. Anyway, since he resigned from them, now he moved to HFX Wanderers, residing there, coming back to Halifax to manage, which is nice to see him reunite with a city that he once lived in and once played soccer in. Thanks for watching the video. Please like it if you enjoyed it, and please subscribe for more Canadian Premier League content. And until next time, see ya.